Hey everybody, welcome back to the Star Wars Survival Guide, formerly the Battlefront Survival Guide, and welcome back to another Star Wars gaming news video. Now, much has been made of the recent history of Star Wars games, and much has already been said in other outlets about how much or how little has been made by Electronic Arts since they acquired the exclusive license to develop Star Wars games. Now, a proper post-mortem of EA's time with the exclusive license is best reserved for another video.
But it is not this day.
Let me take you back briefly to this portentous tweet from Matt Martin, where he was asked by Darth Vendorous, I was wondering if I should be excited for the future of Star Wars games considering EA closed the doors on Battlefront 2 back in April. Matt responded saying, I haven't been this excited for the future of Star Wars gaming in a long time. That's about all I can say, unfortunately. And that's about all we heard until we got this tweet from the new Lucasfilm Games Twitter account, which had been a fan account until the original owner changed their name to LucasArts Memory so that the Lucasfilm Games brand could have that handle for their official Twitter account. But they chimed in with this tweet, which gave us the sizzle reel you're watching now. New year, new look. Welcome to the new and improved Twitter page for news and information from Lucasfilm Games. This started the speculation mill. What did this mean for Electronic Arts? A lot of people said this meant the end of EA with Star Wars altogether. Some wondered if this signaled the return of an in-house game publisher like LucasArts. Most folks, I think, who pay attention to this stuff knew this was simply the licensing arm of Lucasfilm, specifically for their licensed games. It's an old name from the time before LucasArts.
It's an older code, sir, but it checks out.
Many of us, I think, assumed that this wasn't very consequential, just a branding change, and that, as per the usual we've come to expect, we wouldn't hear much, if anything at all, until EA Play in June. On January 12th, Bethesda shocked the world with this teaser from their Twitter account. As that initial chord swelled, I knew the key, I knew the vibe, I knew what came next, even if I didn't believe my eyes. A new Indiana Jones game from a AAA studio. Needless to say, I was shocked. And StarWars.com featured this blog post here. Get your fedoras and whips ready for a new Indiana Jones game. Talks about being developed by Machine Games and executive produced by game industry icon Todd Howard of Bethesda Game Studios. And these are the people that made the Wolfenstein remakes. We scarcely had time to speculate before, on January 13th, Star Wars Games issued this tweet announcing a partnership with Ubisoft and Ubisoft Massive to develop a brand new story-driven open-world Star Wars adventure. And StarWars.com featured this blog post here. Lucasfilm Games hits light speed toward the future. Douglas Riley, VP of Lucasfilm Games, talks to StarWars.com about the just-announced story-driven open-world Star Wars game from Ubisoft and much more. And you, of course, can go down and read this. So, what's the good news that we can glean from all this? Number one, it appears that Electronic Arts' exclusive license to make Star Wars games will be allowed to expire in February of 2023. Now, that does not mean that EA is done making Star Wars games. We are still expecting a Jedi Fallen Order sequel from Respawn, and there's no reason to think that Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is going to be allowed to die on the vine anytime soon. And it's not unreasonable to think that EA DICE would be involved with a Battlefront 3 if that's on the horizon, but I also wouldn't be surprised if some other studio got to continue that series. Basically, we don't know for certain on that score. EA has said on Twitter that they're still making Star Wars games. No one has said that they're going to stop making Star Wars games. As far as the, why would they announce this when EA still has an exclusive license to publish Star Wars games? Well, again, that license is set to expire February of 2023. For Star Wars games, we only know for sure about this Ubisoft deal, and that is unlikely, highly unlikely, to come out before February of 2023. And this falls right in line with a news story that I remember. This was actually early in 2020 here, and all kinds of ridiculous ads on this page. Why do web developers do this? Why? Disney invites game developers to tell original stories with popular franchises. This is from PAX East back in February of 2020, where Sean Shoptaw, the Senior Vice President of Games and Interactive Experiences at Disney, gave an update on the studio's new approach to gaming, emphasizing original storytelling and reimagining classic characters and settings. He said, "I'm here for one specific reason, to empower you to do really unique things with our," and it has catalog in brackets, it could have been with our IP, which I think is what it was. "We want to tap into the power of creatives across the industry." The Disney exec extended an invitation to game developers in the room and throughout the industry to come and play with its extensive catalog of franchises. At the time, I remember telling people that this is an obvious signal that that exclusivity deal is going to go away. And a lot of people, they were resistant to the idea because they figured there's no way, they're going to renew. Disney only cares about money, blah, 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 blah. And that was kind of the deal. The second thing that's really good news is that Lucasfilm seems to be getting its sea legs post George Lucas and regaining its independence post Bob Iger. And as for getting its sea legs after George, Bob Iger likes to wheel and deal with the bigwigs. He's famous for the Pixar deal with Steve Jobs, and kind of playing hardball with Steve Jobs and kind of playing hardball with George. We all kind of know how that deal went down when he bought Lucasfilm. You got him wheeling and dealing and schmoozing, and he's going to get the big name director, right, to come jump into Star Wars. There's no way to know for sure. It's just my feeling, my suspicion is that Bob Iger had a lot to do with that. Since they bought Lucasfilm, they had a lot of say in how this was going to go down and how they were going to take advantage of having Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy's the one that was able to bring in Lawrence Kasdan. I have a feeling that Rise of Skywalker would have been a much tighter film had Kasdan been involved. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. As for post-George Lucas, they've now established their own deal with Star Wars: The High Republic. The High Republic novel, Light of the Jedi, is getting great reviews. Number 1 on the New York Times list. Add to that The Mandalorian, which, according to the Art of the Mandalorian, a lot of this it emanated from Kathleen Kennedy, sending an email to Jon Favreau to say, hey, would you be interested in being involved with this sort of thing? She's the one that thought of him and Dave and their relationship after they got to know each other on the Clone Wars. This essentially started, The Mandalorian all started because of Kathleen Kennedy. And I'm sorry, Internet, if this makes you angry, and you know who you are, but after the success of The Mandalorian, after the rave reviews from critics and fans alike, after the enormous innovation with the thing, what do they call that thing? The thing with the LED, the place, after the success of that, after this seems to have sort of revolutionized the way these shows can be made, move on from there to this enormous slate of titles coming from the Star Wars, from Lucasfilm. Bob Chapek, he was in charge of the parks division, and he's taken over from Bob Iger. He's less of a movie guy and more of a parks guy. And I think that's, for him, he's going to defer to someone like Kennedy, who has all of that experience producing some of the greatest films we've ever seen, working with some of the greatest directors that have ever worked in Hollywood. He's going to defer to her on a lot of those things. And I think that now Lucasfilm is kind of figuring out what they want to do. And now that they've finished the Skywalker saga, They're transitioning to a new post-George Lucas era that they finally feel comfortable. Okay, let's grab that games division, let's bring that up, and let's really do something cool with that. Now that we kind of got settled in the film and TV area, now that we kind of know where things are going, let's really dive deep into the games. Let's take some more ownership of that area. If I were to pick any sour note, or at least a reason to hold an optimism of the cautious variety, it's this. Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, and Bethesda are three of the publishers most notorious for their scummy monetization practices. Now, my hope here is that with Lucasfilm providing oversight, that they will have learned from the Battlefront 2 loot box fiasco. I'm of two minds on this. A lot of people, after they got rid of the loot boxes, a lot of people, I think, sort of got in the middle of this idea that, well, I don't want to go for the whole let's keep buying DLC packs at $15 a pop. But also not on that, let's just go with the free stuff and get kind of not really great cosmetics. You couldn't really customize your trooper. You just limited in customization options. Now people are saying, of course, when they announced that Battlefront 2 was no longer getting live service, everybody went crazy saying, oh, I'll pay money for you to give us more content, give us more heroes, give us more maps, give us more weapons, give us more of the things that you said we were going to be getting more of before the launch of the game. And so now we're left with, what? Nothing. However, Battlefront 2 continues to grow. The player base continues to grow. They continue to get more players playing this game. It's now been released for free for a limited time on Steam, and all these new players are picking it up, and this channel keeps getting views on Officer Survival Guide. It's up past 1,000 views now, and it was like 9 months ago. Even my small channel is still getting views from this game that live support has ended on. So I guess all this to say, I'm pretty excited about what's going to happen, and not just for the different kinds of games that we're going to get and we're going to see, but also the fact that I think most of us Star Wars YouTubers, we're going to see kind of a growth from this. We're going to see more activity. We're going to see more views. We're going to have a lot more content to talk about when we're sitting here going, man, EA, let's go pick up the pace there, guys. Let's make some more games. So a lot of us thought, this was just going to die off after Battlefront 2 stopped getting live service, but it looks like we're going to be getting a lot more to cover. Now, I will be covering all the Star Wars gaming news that's fit to talk about, that I have an opinion about. As for the Bethesda Indiana Jones game, I'm going to be discussing that over on the 40 Plus Gamer, which is my other gaming channel, which I talk a lot about Apex Legends. I'm probably going to have some Escape from Tarkov content on there, and some other stuff to come there. But this by far is the channel that's getting the most traction and covers the topic nearest and dearest to my heart, which is Star Wars. Star Wars. Sorry to be so controversial and talk about Star Wars. I like Star Wars, and I hope you do too. So, give me a follow over on Twitter. You can follow me at Indiana Jim, or of course you can follow the Twitter account for this YouTube channel, which I've recommenced tweeting over there, which is currently at Battlefront SG. Probably going to change that, but I got to figure out what combination of SW Survival Guide, Star War Guide Survival that I like to put in there. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, it's been great being here. May the Force be with you. and I'll see you at the rendezvous.